because the rice is the main staple food for Malaysian. Okay. Malaysia relies on rice as a dietary staple and produce about 70% of the rice it needs. Rice production is a significant source of nitrous oxide and important GHG. Okay, Malaysia aim to become self-sufficiency in rice production in next 10 years. So what happened to GHG emission? Okay, how we need to control it. And then we go to livestock and dairy. Okay, for Malaysia, beef or mutton is related to the livestock. The self-sufficiency is only 30%. However, the dairy, okay, the poultry, almost 100% we produce it. So rearing of livestock is the largest contributor also to GHG. Malaysia is self-sufficiency in pork and eggs and third largest producer of poultry in Asia. So despite importing a parity of beef requirement, rearing cattle is expected to be significant source of GHG. Okay, not like the other country that rearing cattle is the big business. However, in Malaysia, it's not so. However, we still contribute GHG emission to the livestock and dairy. So this is a three largest contributor of GHG for Malaysia case. Yeah. Contoh mata cak kemang. But it's not move.
Do you need any help?
Contoh mata sekejap ni. Sekejap. Undo. Okay. All right. Okay, palm oil dominates the agriculture landscape in Malaysia. If you come to Malaysia from the airplane, from the above, you can see very huge area planting with oil palm. Okay, this is different, yeah? Palm oil and oil palm. Before coming to the product of the oil, we call oil palm, the trees. Okay, when you come to the product you use for your cooking, for everything you use palm oil. So oil palm, you can see the trees, the areas cultivating or planting the oil palm is very huge in Malaysia. I think Indonesia is the same. So that's agricultural landscape in Malaysia. So below figure explain the source of GHG emission in palm oil production. GHG emission arising from operation during oil palm growing and FFB processing, or more precisely, okay, fresh fruit bunch, FFB, the fruits of the oil palm, we call FFB. So emission relate to the use of fossil fuel for plantation, internal transport and machinery, produce emission, and then emission related to the use of fertilizer. Okay, we need to grow the tree, so we need to input the fertilizer. Then emission related to the use of fuel in palm oil mill and the use of palm oil mill by product. That means after harvest the fruit FFP, we want it to become the oil. So the milling or the industry, or we call miller, palm oil miller, they use a foil. So that's come from that's a contribute or produce the emission of gas. And then emission also come from palm oil mill effluent, okay, POME, POME. GHG emission arising from changes in carbon stock during development of new planting. Okay, before you growing the oil palm area, you need to clear the land, everything. So when you clear the land, okay, you cut down the trees, you manage cut or you used to make to make sure the land is very clear, that will produce the gas from the soil. Okay, so that will contribute gas emission too. Okay, GHG emission also from pig. Okay, they have many land type or soil type. So the common types in Malaysia, in Indonesia, around the tropical area is peat, P-E-A-T. So when we planting, we open the land, the area for growing the oil palm under the peat soil. So this also contribute to GHG emission. Okay. Okay, we see about the emission source and emission sink in palm oil production. Okay, not growing the palm oil palm and then produce the palm oil. Okay, let's see. This is infographic how the gas emission come from and how we can help to sink or to reduce, decrease, helps to reduce the gas emission come from the activity of the oil palm production or palm oil production. Okay, first, as I explained, land clearing release stored carbon in the biomass. The level of emission depend on the type of previous land use. Okay, if you clear the pit soil land, so that will contribute the gas emission. So everything about the clearance for the field for the purpose of growing or make a farm, they will clear the land. So that will release the stored carbon. Okay, carbon already there. So when you clear the land, that will produce the gases. Okay, other than that, when you use your transportation from the farm to the miller and you transport the fruits, you transport the agriculture inputs like fertilizer, everything using the transportation. So that's one will also produce the GHG. Okay, and then fuel use due to the harvesting. When you want to harvest it, collect it of fresh fruit bunch, I say that we call the fruit is FFP. So this also contribute to the gas emission. And then when you bring all the harvested fruits, the yields, production, I mean the fruits to the miller, and the miller need to process it. So by doing the processing, that combustion of CO2 or the mill diesel usage, so the fuel was used and then will contribute the gas emission. Then after that, after you processing to make the oil from the palm, the oil palm, so you release the methane through the palm oil mill effluents, okay, pomade. So this is the waste from the factory or the miller. And then the thing, how we can help to reduce the usage of the source of the gas emission. So peatland cultivation, this represent a significant source of GHG emission. As I explained, when you're growing the oil palm under the peat soil land, the stored carbon will be will be produced. So we can help how we can capture it, and we can use the gas to what's recycle, or we use for another purpose. Okay, for example, for the first is biogas offset. Methane from pomade, palm oil mill effluent, is captured and can be used for electricity. or other energy uses. So that can avoiding emission, can less the emission. Okay, palm, nande. Okay, palm kernel shell. Okay, you know the fruit FFB, the oil palm, they have the kernel. Okay, we use only the white one, and the left is we call kernel, the shell. So through the shell, sold externally and used as a replacement for fossil fuel can be offset at reduced emission. We can use it to produce the things that can reduce the emission. Okay, so carbon sequestration in the palm biomass to prevent emission into the atmosphere. What is this? Okay, we need to set aside the land that conserve for the what's for the carbon sequestration. Okay, we need to, for example, we need to conserve it a little bit, not use all for the plantation. We need to grow, or we need to conserve as a natural one, so that will help to prevent emission. Okay, the last one is mill fuel offset is based on biomass with only a small volume of diesel used for backup generator. So this can avoid emission and can be offset. Okay, this is how we can reduce the emission. Okay, we need palm oil. We need oil palm to generate our economy. However, we also need to protect our environment. We need to protect gas emissions. So this is the way how we can decrease it. Okay, hopefully you can understand by this infographic. Let's go to the next slide. Is about the carbon footprint mitigation strategies. Okay, we facing with climate change. So the way we want to solve it is by mitigation and adaptation. But in this topic about the carbon footprint, we see about the mitigation. You must understand what the meaning of mitigation, what the meaning adaptation. Okay, if you feel cold, you can adapt by wearing thick or low high temperature in your surrounding. But mitigation is how you mitigate it's naturally. So the difference between these two words. GHG emission from agriculture activities can be reduced through more efficient management. We need to do something. We need to have solution, mitigate it. Okay. So we need a management system. So that carbon and nitrogen flow within agriculture system can be reduced. Okay, we must to have a strategy. Okay, for example, we talk that the livestock are the three largest contributor to the GHG emission. So we need to have management, manage the livestock and manure. Okay, so what you want, you need to, you can do is select regionally appropriate forage, practice rotational grazing, select high quality feed that will reduce methane release for entering fermentation, manage manure to reduce methane and nitrous oxide by cover manure storage facility, optimize manure application to the soil, capture and combust methane from manure. Okay, every subsector under the agriculture, we need to think about the management of GHG emissions so that we can decrease the level of GHG emission. Okay, this is for livestock and manure management. And then we can do is soil conservation and carbon sequestration, as I explained before in infographic. Okay, we can do implement crop rotation. Okay, you know, not the monocropping. However, you need to crop rotation Okay, this season different crop, next season is different crop. Okay, avoid over application of fertilizer. We need to input the fertilizer to increase the productivity. However, over application will damage the soil and will contribute to the GHG emission. So we try to avoid over application. And then establish agroforestry system. Okay, while you do agriculture activity, you do a forestry. So you need to build the system. So that will help to decrease the level of the carbon footprint. Switch from conventional tillage to conservation tillage or no-till. Okay, until now, after the machinery revolution. So from conventional tillage, by tractor, we tillage the soil to grow the crop, and then we try to change it, switch from conventional tillage to conservation. It is different things, conventional and conservation. Conserve, try to make it positive. Conventional is the practice that we are currently keep continue the practice. So maybe with the tillage, conventional tillage, we keep using the tractor, using the fossil fuel to the vehicle of the farms. So by switch it from conventional tillage and to conservation tillage will maybe help to decrease the gas emission. Switch from annual to perennial crop. Okay, annual, for example, annual is like oil palm, almost 25, 30 years, the same trees, the same crop. Try to change it from annual to perennial. It's depend. Increase field residue through irrigation, fertilization, planting hay or cover crop, or using additional organic materials such as manure. Okay, maybe we have a synthetic fertilizer. We almost to growing the crop, we use it. Okay, in the group Green Revolution, we starting to use the synthetic. We want to produce more, so we use the uh, fertilizer, okay, chemical fertilizer. That's will contribute to GHG emissions. So why not we try to use organic? Organic is very good, however, it's very late. Sometimes we want to produce as a commercial, we cannot see the result. So organic may be good for environment, but we need to to balance it with the fertilizer, chemical fertilizer. Okay, this is for soil conservation and carbon. How about the energy conservation and fuel switching? Okay, conduct an off-farm oil fuel energy assessment to identify energy saving opportunities. Okay, try to assess how we use the energy in our farm, so we can know how we can save the energy. Ensure that all heating and cooling systems are in good working order. Okay, so if we manage it properly, maybe the emission can be reduced. Use timer, sensor, or variable speed drive on ventilation, heating, cooling, and lighting system. There are many systems now. As I said, technology breakthrough can help agriculture, so use it to make sure we can reduce the GHG emission. And try to replace fossil fuel powered equipment with electrical pumps and motor. Okay, maybe as conventional practices, we use a fossil fuel power equipment. Why not we change it? Okay, if we use the fuel power equipment, try to use the solar, try to use electrical equipment. So will helps to decrease the GHG emission. Okay, then practicing renewable energy on agriculture land. What is an aerobic digestion? Okay, like growing the feedstock used for biofuel. Okay, grow something that used for biofuel. That can help to the use of chemical fuel, fossil fuel. Install wind turbine for electricity. Okay, this natural, using wind turbine, so can produce electricity, so we can help to reduce the use of energy from fuel. Install solar panel for electricity. Okay, there are many countries, many parts of the world use a solar panel in their agriculture. Why not we use what we have given by God? Okay, so use the sun power. Then biofuel production from crop. We growing the grain for the crop. For example, the corn, maize production can help. We use that maize to produce the biofuel, or find the new crop that can help to produce biofuel, so that we can help to reduce the GHG emission. Okay. Okay, in oil palm plantation, in this case, the mitigation strategies includes, okay, practice maintain soil fertility by reducing the use of synthetic fertilizer. Okay, so try to maintain soil fertility so that we can reduce the use of synthetic fertilizer. Because fertilizer, when you use a fertilizer, synthetic fertilizer, that will contribute to the GHG, as I explained before. So establish composting project, okay, because we have the waste from pome, so why not we try to recycle it. So recycle nutrient from empty fruit bunch. Before we process it, we call FFB. When we empty after process, they are called empty fruit bunch. Okay, the waste from oil palm. So palm oil meal, pome. So back to the field. Use it, recycle it, reuse it, or we process it to another things, energy, what's organic matter. So compost it, so that will helps what's the GHG emission. Installing palm oil mill for methane capture and power generation. Okay, many palm oil millers in Malaysia, everywhere. So try to enforce them to use the methane capture and power generation. So for the first palm oil mill or miller in Malaysia, we call Sedenak palm oil mill. It can capture around 30% of the methane generated by the mill each year. Okay, this data, 2018 data, the carbon footprint report. So 30% is very big percentage. So by installing the methane capture, we can manage it. Try to reduce it from 30% to 25 to 20. So introduction of renewable energy from palm oil to produce biodiesel to reduce carbon emission also can help to reduce the carbon contribution. Okay, this is in the case of oil palm plantation mitigation that we can do. Alamak, it's come to a conclusion. Dia, I'm okay with my time.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, because it's come to the conclusion. Maybe I'm only 1 hour, 5:18, yeah, now. So greenhouse gases, GHG emission from agriculture activities cannot be underestimated. Even this sector plays main role in producing food to feed the people. Okay, remember, you cannot eat from the factory, you cannot eat from the transportation production. However, you can eat something by from the agriculture sector. Okay, the food for your mouth come from agriculture sector. However, GHG can be reduced through more efficient management of carbon and nitrogen flow within agriculture system. We can reduce it. Okay, just a mitigation. How we develop the system, then we try to reduce it. Okay, talk about the GHG emission, gas emission For example, your city. My city living now is Bandar Baru Bangi. By 2035, we try to reduce it, to reduce the carbon emission. So every city have their indicator or their target to lower their gas emission in their city. So every city maybe you can check, they have indicator, they have a target to reduce the carbon. So in agriculture also, because they give a big impact to the human, to the nature, because this will affect the climate change. When climate change was affected, climate change we affected back to the agriculture, and the agriculture affect the human. So we need to manage it. We need to mitigate it. So smart farming, okay, smart farming not only will reduce the impact to the environment, but also optimize production. Okay, one of the way is smart farming. Try to use the electricity, try to use not the foil, the fossil fuel, but need to use biofuel. So many things that maybe can help us to reduce the emission of GHG. That's what I can say. Maybe my explanation not well good, but hopefully you can understand. I know you are come from many countries of the world. Okay, I heard about the you come from what's that, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, and other country. So our topics is not discuss only the scope of Malaysia, only the scope of oil palm, but in your country maybe there's a difference. However, we share the topic, we share the issues. So this is the main, the importance issues that we need to solve. Okay, so you need to know at your age, maybe your age between 20 to 30. At that age, I'm also not very understand what is the carbon footprint. Okay, I learned in one subject or two subject. However, I am not very clear. But when you come at my age now, 50 years old, you will understand it. You need to understand mitigation or strategy, how you need to reduce, how you can contribute to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Okay, thank you very much for hearing my lecture. Maybe it's not good enough, but I'm trying hard to make you understand. But I'm looking to see your face. I am very good if I'm teaching face to face. However, in virtual, I cannot touch you. I cannot see your reaction, your face reaction. Oh, that's lacking. But this is the way what we can meet today. Dia, I
Yes.
almost finished my my lecture. Hopefully, that will help to increase knowledge of the students or anybody that relate to this summer school. Yeah, thank you very much. It's almost 1 hour. You gave me 2 hours. Sorry, I just fulfill only 1
It's okay. We can
hour.
use the rest of the time for discussion. And thank you very much. I think we all agree that your presentation is very excellent and clear. And we understood that the agricultural processes are indeed very complex, and each of the activities are contributes as a either carbon source or maybe carbon sink. And also thank you very much for presenting various options that we could consider in practicing and for a greener agricultural productions and processing. And before we begin our discussions today, I would like to remind the student to fill the attendees or participant registrations. The link is available in the chat box, and please also use the raise hand feature. Then the moderator or me will choose those to convey the questions directly to Professor Norsida. I will come for the student. Please kindly use the raise hand feature.
Yeah, easy question, please. maybe I cannot manage to answer the very difficult. Hi ma'am, good afternoon. Do you believe that lockdown somebody discovered? Okay, you
Question.
know. Okay, lockdown maybe can contribute because the movement, okay, and Malaysia now today the no the victim, we call victim, the cases of the COVID in Malaysia now is 20,000% this day, today. Okay, it's very worse and worse. I don't know your country. However, Malaysia today is 20. Not 20%, but 20,000. Okay, so the lockdown, okay, somehow the lockdowns, because the lockdowns, the activity of the person, the people, you are from Philippines, so that's control the movement of the vehicle. Okay, the vehicle. So when the vehicle movement is was controlled, maybe it's reduced a little bit. However, the life must go on. Okay, the agriculture activity must continue because we need a food. Okay, along supply chain, you know the word of supply chain, the food supply chain. From the land, you are growing something and the food come to your table. We call it supply chain. So when the COVID-19 pandemic, it's disturbed, okay, disturbance to the supply chain. Okay, the production area, the transportation from production area to the customer was disturbed because boundary restriction, because movement control order. So many things was interrupted. Relate to the lockdown, relate to the gas emission, maybe it helps, not help, but reduce, yeah, reduce, but we not what's no study measure the decrease of the gas emission due to the movement control order. Okay, but that pandemic affect agriculture activities. Okay, most of the, because agriculture activity not only the production activity but transportation we relates, shipping, everything relates. So somehow unemployment was happen, the factory was closed, the shop was closed. For example, I'm staying in Selangor. The Selangor cases is 10,000, you know, 10,000. Half of the cases come from my state, we call Selangor. So almost 1.5, we cannot go somewhere. We just around our district. So the activity of economy was disrupted, and that's affect the agriculture sector too. Okay, at the first stage of the pandemic, the production of agriculture was stopped because the produce cannot transport from the area, production of area to the city. Okay, but now it was settled. However, will affect the price, will affect the quantity, the quality. So maybe the question was asked about the lockdown have decreased. Maybe, but we not give the exact data to this.
Thank you
Okay,
so much.
in Indonesia, there are,
Yeah, we have someone who raised hand. We have Jacqueline Jessup. Maybe
yeah, Jacqueline,
we
where are
want
you
to.
now?
Hello,
Jack?
evening, Doctor.
Yeah.
I'm from Malaysia, University of Malaysia, Sabah.
Oh, okay,
Doctor,
good.
I was wondering, is there any significant propositions or any steadfast decision making or any latest
Latest of what?
carbon emission? Yes.
Yeah, depends on
Hello?
the, yeah, I can hear you. Jack?
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
You mean in the
Okay.
agriculture sector?
Yeah,
Again, the
Doctor.
question.
In the oil palm plantation, especially
Yeah.
from the RSPO.
Yeah.
Because we're actually
RSPO.
quite keen to know what's actually the updates from the RSPO, especially in mitigating the climate change.
Right. Okay, if you know, RSPO is developed to make sure we follow the sustainable practices. We follow the standard of the world that decide for us to follow RSPO, and then for Malaysian case we call MSPO, Malaysia Standard. Okay, however, you know, to enforce it, we have the rule regulation on the MSPO, everything, the practice guideline. However, the problem is we need to make sure the smallholders, farmers, the company understand about the regulation they need to follow. Okay, because the RSPO, MSPO will help the gas emission too. So if the farmers not understand why they need to follow the regulation, so they cannot practice it. Okay, the system in oil palm plantation, the farmers have a land. Okay, however, their service out or contract out the job. So the labor from Indonesia, the labor from Bangladesh, from other country, they're doing their work as a labor. So when we want to enforce the MSPO, ARSPO, we have difficulty whether we want to understand the labor. No, the labor need to understand the regulation, or the owner of the land need to understand. So which come first? So the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, MPOB we call, that manage the smallholder palm, smallholders farmers in oil palm. So they have difficulty. We need to change the attitude of the farmers first. Okay, to the practitioner of the oil palm plantation. If they understand well why they need to follow the regulation, they can do the practice. So this can help to reduce the mitigation, they reduce the emission. They try to use the strategy to mitigate the gas emission. Is it I answering you, Jack?
So maybe we can also move to other questions. Maybe Jacqueline, it's answering your questions. And we have a question from Wahyu Catur about forest conversions. Is it also a big issue in Malaysia?
Yeah, because we trying to develop our oil palm. We try to develop property area because the demand is very high. So our forestry we damage our forestry. Okay, this happen not only Malaysia but other country too. So how we want to, we cannot avoid the development. Understand? Means that we cannot avoid the developments of the property, developments of urbanization. However, we need to mitigate it by make a regulation that beside you develop the land for other purposes, for agriculture, for the property, make sure you conserve your jungle, you conserve your forestry. If not, you will damage all the country's land. This my worry. Okay, so it depends. Sometimes depend on the state's government. Sometimes depends on the country, federal government, state. If you are strong, you want to practice the sustainable development, you need to conserve the land. Yeah, I know, I understand that agriculture like oil palm plantation is very big contributor to economy. However, you also make sure that your land, your forest, your nature environment not damaged by your activities. Okay, we need a urban, we need a city, we need development. But if you're not take care about your forest, you not take care about your agriculture activity, it will help damage the things. Can I answer the question?
I think it's very clear, and thank you very much for the explanations. Also, if the students have questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box or also use the raise hand feature. And actually, as a follow-up to the questions and your explanations, I wonder, from the Malaysian government point of view, what are the strategy and policy that imposed by the government to reduce the greenhouse gases emission, especially in regards to the palm oil? Because as we know, Malaysia is one of the biggest producers.
Yeah, sure, we have it. However, the enforcement, the rate of enforcement, we want to follow it or not. But we are follow the world standard because we don't want our product, our products from the oil palm will be banned. So we need to follow. So already there regulation that we need to follow. For example, various RSPO, MSPO, everything is related to the mitigation strategy. So just follow it, and we can practice all the things. However, come to the practice, you write in the paper is good. However, when you want to practice, it's very hard. You know, yeah. So that's the first thing is you need to make the farmer small holders or company that relate to the industry understand well. Okay, the attitude, the behavior, the understanding, knowledge, the awareness. So increase the awareness, increase their knowledge, increase the skill, so you can practice it.
Thank you so much. And it's very challenging and a very critical issue
Sure,
for big
critical.
producers such as Malaysia.
Not only Malaysia, Indonesia,
but also
too.
Indonesia.
Yeah.
We also have a question from Kina Fatima Azahra on switching annual crop to perennial crop. Will this affect the biodiversity, and can it be turned to perennial?
Okay, annual crop, as I mentioned, for example, monocropping. Monocropping, that means the crop almost 30 years, 20 years, a long time with the same crop. But the question switching annual to perennial, will this action affect biodiversity? Perennial is short-term crop. Okay, short-term crop is changing the crop is doesn't matter. However, the practice toward the soil, practice toward the waste management, the practice toward the use of fertilizer is the matter. Okay, the crop is doesn't matter, but the practice you are doing, your cropping, your planting is the problem. So maybe because they have a suggestion to change from annual to perennial, because sometimes you growing vegetable is only 3 months, 4 months. It's also affect biodiversity, isn't it? So the crop is doesn't matter. However, if you're doing by conserve the soil or you use organic, so it's okay, no problem. Just the practice only. Such as corn can be turned into perennial crop. Corn is all not the annual. However, it's a short term. Okay, and then sometimes corn can be used as the biofuel. We can grow the corn maize to produce the foil. However, you need to understand the competition, whether we want to produce the maize for human, or we need to produce for the livestock, or we need to produce for foil. Which comes first? You want to feed the human You want to feed the livestock, or you want to make it the foil. So you need to understand, we don't have enough supply, okay, for the maize production. Tak cukup, not enough, okay. So if we grow it for other purpose, for the human, we cannot, we not enough of it. But if we produce for the feed livestock, we know enough for our human purpose. So you need to plan the strategy. Okay, some of the countries, they have ability to produce for grain for livestock. They can produce more. But if you go to Africa, they cannot grow the corn for livestock. They need to eat, isn't it? So depends on how they plan the strategy. Okay.
Thank you so much. So indeed, trade issues are very critical. How would you see the planting systems such as agroforestry that can fulfill different types of demand from different type of crops?
Yeah, we have two approach, agro and forestry go together. So it's help the sustainable practices. Okay, when we growing something to produce the food, we also do conserve the area. Sometimes agroforestry can have a wood industry, isn't it? So we not cut the natural one, but we farming it. Okay, the things that the natural forestry is natural one. When you cut it, you need to replace it, replant it. So agroforestry is the approach that maybe you can grow the forest, okay, farming it. Okay, we call farm. When you call farm, you need to plant it, not the growing naturally. So this is good. At least you can do something. But cutting it without replanting it is very bad. However, if we do something by replanting it, it's okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We also have Gemma here. Raise her hand. Please, can you convey your question?
Hey, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Since oil palm production is a big responsibility in terms of GHG emission, regardless of its benefits, in your opinion, ma'am, how would you implement greener agricultural practices?
Greener, okay. Along supply chain, you can implement the green technology or green approach. Okay, green means that good, yeah, good. So maybe you can we can try to practice, for example, for pre-harvest planting processing. We can use a green approach for planting, and then we can use the green approach for post-harvest, and then for transportation, for marketing, for storage, everything you can use a green approach. So for example, for pre-harvest, production, we use the practice that avoid the use of the chemical fertilizer, chemical pesticide. It's not green. Okay, come to the post-harvest. Maybe you can use the facility that introduce or using the green technology. Okay, green technology cover many things. So you can at least try something using the good approach or good practices in every process of agriculture activity, so that we can help us, we can help sustainable development.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Before
ma'am.
we head
you.
into another question, so as a follow-up to that, how was the rate of adoptions of a greener technology at the large-scale commercial agriculture as well as smallholder in Malaysia?
Wow, very difficult to understand. No, very good to answer because I don't have the exact data. Okay, we have many approach. Sometimes we have organic farming, we have fermentation. Sorry, not fermentation, permaculture. We have less chemical, half organic, or we have whole practices by chemical or not very good for sustainable agriculture. So many approach. Okay, so how they adopt it and how the adoption rate is, I cannot answer it, but become to the practices. Some of the farmers, of us trying to apply it. Okay, because we know world are doing for sustainable. So not except Malaysia, we also doing on organic. So not all the farmers adopt the green or adopt the good practices. However, they are okay. We still have the conventional practices. Okay, because to produce mass production, sometimes organic cannot cover it. Yeah, you cannot cover it to produce more. So sometimes start from now, okay, some of us doing organic farming, some of us doing conventional. So at one time, if we are able to make sure all organic is okay, less chemical also okay, but don't stop all the things, maybe affect something. So in the same way, in the same time, you need to have 2 or 3 approach: organic, chemical, conventional. You must go. If you are able to practice all organic, is okay, but you must think about the production, mass production. Okay, because some of the practices, they have weaknesses. Okay, there are strengths in other thing and they have weaknesses in other thing. So make sure it's go along.
Thank you so much. So
Mhm.
we had to keep open with different kind of approach that fits best. And we
Yeah.
also have a question here in the chat box from Putri. She
Mhm.
asked, how could crop rotations implementation help in soil conservation and carbon
Mm.
sequestrations?
Yeah, if you know Indonesia always practices integrated farming. When it come to integrated farming, they're not they're not planting the same crop. When we grow the same crop, that means we less the fertility of the soil, because they are the same thing, the same input uptake, fertilizer uptake, so they can damage the crop. Sometimes we need to rotate it. Some of the crop will help increase the fertility. Some of the crop, they take more fertility for it. So we need to balance it again. Okay, grow this one will help increase, and then grow another thing. So the different crop, different function. So we need to make sure the land is not maximum use. We want to use every year, but we need to make sure the soil can rest. Okay, human too, we need to rest. So the crop, the soil also need the rest. So give sometime the space to the land to rest. Maybe we do a crop rotation, maybe the land rotation, rest the land here and then use the other land. And then, for example, now we use to planting the corn. Sometimes we planting the other crop. So we rotate it. By rotate it, that can help soil fertility and help to increase the organic or the organisms in the soil itself. Yeah, hope I can make Putri understand with my statement.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Are there any other students who would like to ask questions? Because we have a very critical topics here, agricultures that have tremendous contributions towards the greenhouse gases emission.
Yeah, please don't hesitate to ask the things. Now in Malaysia University, we are in the semester break after the exam, long time break, 2 months. So I don't have opportunity to meet my students. So within this semester break, I meet the student summer school. Thank you very much. But I cannot see the face. Yeah, I already see Jacqueline, I see Daniel. Only other thing is static picture.
Yes.
Hopefully they are not sleeping now.
I hope not.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask on the issues of there are different kind of efforts on how we can reduce the carbon footprint or even mitigate it. And how would you see as the most cost efficient, or maybe what are the lessons learned from Malaysia that could be used as a takeaway for students in other countries in those kind of issues?
Okay. Not all the student of Malaysian, particularly in agriculture university like my university, not all the subject teach them about the things related to the carbon footprint. Sometimes we need to learn by ourselves. Okay, so if you ask my student, maybe they cannot answer what is food carbon. Maybe the first word they hear. So the summer school by the ESL be a good topic. Give the opportunity the student to learn something about the carbon footprint, about the mitigation, about the strategy, about the policy, about many things. Because you are the pillar, key player for agriculture in the future, so you need to understand. So try to, because now the information and knowledge you can get from the internet. Anytime you can check it. However, yeah, you need to know. Maybe not all the students from the agriculture, isn't it? Yeah, not all, isn't it?
Maybe not all. Maybe
Iman,
one of you
ambil
could
kucing.
also say where are you from and what are your major in the chat box, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe they are not agriculture student.
Yeah, that would be great to introduce ourselves also. So we have a student from forestry.
Oh, forestry too. Gemma, you are student of agriculture courses?
Actually, ma'am, my chosen field is not related to forestry. I'm taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in
Wow.
Filipino.
Oh, education.
Yeah, yes,
So
ma'am.
maybe the carbon footprint, maybe the first time you hear it.
We got some symposium about regarding carbon footprints reducing, but I guess what I've learned from you is eye opener.
Yeah. Because no, when you are majoring in other area, you don't have time to study other areas, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
But when I was in grade 7, or grade 9, I took up horticulture and somewhat it also helpful for us.
In my university, they make sure all the university students from any of discipline or any of the program learn about the agriculture first. One subject we call compulsory subject that they need to learn, they need to pass is agriculture and human. So we teach our student, for medical student, for engineering student, for architecture student, about the agriculture. They need to pass it. They need to learn. It's a basic subject about the agriculture, but they will know a lot. Okay, you want to become a doctor, so you don't need to understand agriculture for the whole. However, you need to increase your awareness, okay? Awareness toward the agriculture. The agriculture give an important contribution to the human, give a good contribution to the economy, so that they will support, okay? They support agriculture of the country. If you are growing to become the people who not understand, who not aware about the agriculture, who want to help the agriculture, okay? The farmers need your help. The farmers need your support. So by buying or encourage them to produce a good quality produce, so you will help the farmers, you help community to grow. Okay, things about that. So that's why our agriculture, our university make a compulsory subject of agriculture to be learned by the student. Okay, at least increase awareness. Okay, for example, my family too, I have 2 kids. They are not studying in agriculture, one engineering, one medical, but I need to make sure they understand where the foods come from, why we need to support the agriculture, and then how the importance of agriculture to them. So at least they understand it. Tu sana. So other
Yes, we have other questions here in the chat box from Anissa Trinita Cesar. How to convert forest to oil palm plantations in an effective and non-harming way? Because many years ago, some people in Indonesia cleared land by burning it with the excuse that it was faster and cheaper. But it's also an economic issue. What do you think about it? I'm sorry, I think you're muted.
sorry. Okay, I understand it. We experience it in Malaysia too. We develop the land without things about the sustainable practices. Okay, what we want to do is to get the profit, okay, from the plantation. We grow, we develop more and more. We clear the land, clear the forest, many things without the follow the regulation. That's harm, okay? That's make something that can affect environment, affect the humans. So Indonesia maybe late from Malaysia to this what sector? I mean oil palm sector. So we, if we follow what the world or the suggested by the world body, how to conserve, how to develop the oil palm in effective or in good way, it's okay, no problem. We still need to grow something that help to contribute to economy, to help to increase the income of the farmers. So we no choice. We need we need to have a land to growing something, but conserve it, and then half conserve it and half use for growing the plant. Why not? So replanting it. Okay, we can cut the trees. However, we planting it with good trees again. Maybe take 20 or 30 years, 50 years to become it again. However, at least we do something. So we can still can clear the land for the oil palm, as I said, balance it. Okay, conserve land and use for other purpose.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I was wonder if there's any technology, indigenous technology or indigenous knowledge in agriculture in Malaysia that could possibly help with conservations or either preserving carbon.
Indigenous knowledge is, I'm not very sure. However, for example, origin people, sometimes they are practicing the good for forest conservation. Okay, they mean they grow something, they have their plant at this area, they are rotate it. This is called land rotation. It is practicing by the origin people from east coast of not east coast, Borneo Island and some place in Malaysia. So they practice it. That's why indigenous knowledge. However, for the commercial, there are no. For conventional, there are. That means they are replanting it. We need to increase the awareness. Okay, it's very important now because we cut many trees. What I'm very worried is cut a trees without replanting it. Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Mm.
I invite the students to also let's utilize the time. We have 30 minutes left
Yeah.
for discussion.
This
Okay.
Daniel asking me.
Yes.
I
It's
also
quite
agree that quite
lengthy.
long. However, I try to understand it. English is quite challenging. Yeah, sure. For example, agroforestry can be seen to benefit in terms of carbon storage, right? If we establish in plantation area, other than not having the awareness or not understanding the importance of climate change. Could there any other possible reason why most of the company are not moving toward this initiative? Okay, sometimes the company see the profit first, Daniel. Yeah, whoever, whatever types of the company, the profit is come first. Okay, they are lacking of awareness or responsibility to the nature, to the environment. So that's why the result come like that now. Okay, so if this depend on the company, depend on the government, enforcement and the policy. Almost policy is there, however the enforcement is lack. Okay, everywhere is same. I don't know, but Malaysia is like that. There are policy written good policy, however the come to enforcement is very weak. Okay, so for example, now we see that pandemic COVID-19 cases increasing by day. Okay, for example, now in Malaysia, they are not stop the industrial service or industrial to stop the operation. The most cases is come from the industrial area. Okay, so they think about the profit first. So the COVID-19 cases come from there. The most of my cases in Selangor, my state, is come from industry. Okay, pabrik in Indonesia word. So will affect the community because the company, the big company, the government think about the profit first. They want money first. Okay, they're not care about the other factor or other victim or other community problem. So they not stop the operation. So that COVID pandemic will come worse every day. Maybe their the things or they assume the most cases is 24,000 become so every day dear, so very big huge number. So it's same with what the Daniel's team, the oil palm company go the profit first. Okay, but if we give the stress, give the heavy regulation to them. They need to follow it. So their position decision is at the government. If government enforce them to follow, they need to follow. If the government is dun, so maybe they not follow it. Nah, the same. Maybe in Indonesia too. But if you need to understand, by reducing the carbon at your country, they will help a lot. They will contribute to climate change. When climate change happen, maybe we cannot do a skiing. We cannot see the snow. They cannot see the everything that naturally have before. So that's my the reason of the company is the profit first. Daniel, can I answering you, Daniel? Yeah, thank you.
Also,
Yes.
in a
Yeah.
follow-up to that, it's almost maybe the same problem is in Indonesia as well. That the company need to be imposed with a very strict regulations and enforcement from the government. Indeed, how was I was wondering how was the response from the consumer countries, for example, like the Europe or the US, with regards to the sustainability operations of palm oil in Malaysia?
Yeah, that's affect a lot when the world's the certain country, the parts of the world, they ban, they restrict the export, so they will affect more to the export volume, affect the economy, affect the income. So the country of Malaysia need to follow it. Okay, sometimes that's the agenda, that certain agenda create. Okay, they don't want us to produce palm oil. They want us to use corn oil or vegetable oil. So they have propaganda. Okay, so the effect from the other country, the most powerful country will affect Malaysian exports toward oil palm products. So we need to follow. If not to follow, we cannot export it. So you don't have a choice. Okay, you want to follow or not to follow. But make sure we follow the right thing. Okay, if they want us just to make sure they have a profit for benefit them only, it's not okay. They damage the other country. But if they give a benefit to make sure all the thing is good for sustainable, we need to follow. Okay, we are not the country that very arrogant to what, to stay alone, to to produce the thing that will damage the or not practice the sustainable. Okay.
Thank you very much for answering that. So I'd like to remind the participant and the student to fill in the registration link. We have some time left until 5:30 p.m. Jakarta time.
Wow, there
before
are
we
many
end our
times.
sessions today.
Cannot we stop now? No,
Oh.
I'm just joking.
Maybe
You can
do
ask
like
another thing, not only since we have opportunity. Okay, you can ask other thing related to agriculture. What can I answer? I will answer.
that would be wonderful. I was wondering about your recent scientific publications on adaptations of behavior of the farmer under climate change. Could you please elaborate more on the study?
Okay, dear. Before I answer, there are raise a hand. France.
Yes, we recently have France raising hand. France, please also convey your question.
France,
Hello,
where are
ma'am.
you?
Okay.
France. Okay. You are from where? France?
I'm from IPB University, ma'am.
Indonesia?
Yes.
Okay.
My question is about the industry that producing a lot of carbon footprint. And then, do you have any idea to socialize this awareness or increasing the awareness of the company to reducing the carbon footprint, uh, or gimana ya Bill?
Yeah.
Just using the regulation, or do you have any idea like that, ma'am?
For example, we have in oil palm, we have a miller, okay, who the industry which doing the processing of oil palm, okay, that's gas emission is come from the miller, so the company should understand. Now in Malaysia, we have a body agencies that responsible to control it. We have Malaysian Oil Palm Board. They managed to make sure all regulation, all the company, all the farmers follow the regulation toward the gas emission. So step by step, they introduce, they increase the awareness, they make sure their enforcement on the practices of the mitigation of the gas emission. So almost the company follow it, follow the strategy that has planned for them. If not, they cannot get something. Yeah, give and take. You know, you follow the regulation, you can get this. If you are not follow, you cannot get that one. So I think the company in Malaysia follow it. They try to decrease the emission of the gases because of the their miller or their factory. So we have the agencies that manage it. I don't know in Indonesia, maybe you have the agency, government agency that manage to control everything about the development of oil palm plantation. They are, you hear about that one?
Yeah.
That mean the agencies that control the development of oil palm sector, oil palm plantation. We have in Malaysia, but I don't know another country. Maybe under Ministry of Agriculture, I think, or Ministry of Plantation. In Malaysia, we have Ministry of Plantation. Okay, so they will manage the development, the development of the plantation, agriculture plantation, or cacao plantation, or coconut plantation. So they have a body agency to control it, so that by doing their job, the understanding, the awareness can be increased.
Yeah, I think in Indonesia we only have Ministry of Agriculture, but there are also other ministry and agencies that are related with the palm oil, the establishment of palm oil plantations, and also regulated. Yeah, I think. Do we
France,
have?
you understand what I explained?
Yes, got it, ma'am.
Yeah.
So in Malaysia they have a agency like that, yes, ma'am.
Yes,
The ministry.
agency.
Okay.
Somebody, something need to organize. If not, under organization cannot happen. Regulation policy cannot be implemented.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And relating to the questions about the what's climate change, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of your recent publications that on adaptation behavior of the farmer under climate changes.
Yes, you know adaptation. We discuss about the mitigation. Okay, mitigation by doing something that to reduce the gas emission. Okay, that one mitigation. You need to understand the word adaptation. As I give an example, if you feel cold, what you can do to reduce your coldness? Maybe you increase the temperature of the room. Maybe you can wear the thick dress, or maybe you can have exercise, everything to increase your body temperature because you are very, you feel cold. That's one adaptation. Okay, we have two adaptation. Okay, in oil palm, in practices, we have practices adaptation. Okay, we want to go to the sustainable practices. So what the farmers can do to adapt, so they change the crop, they change rotation of crop, they grow the cover crop, they do a good irrigation, drainage, they change the fertilizer. That one we call adaptation, the practice adaptation. Okay, how about the social adaptation? Okay, if you staying at the river bank and the flood occurring more, always occur. Okay, so what the social adaptation you can do? Maybe you can move to other place. Maybe you can build your house higher than now, or maybe you do a good irrigation and drainage so that you can avoid the flood. For example, you have the climate change. So what's adaptation? Social adaptation is you living with adapt to something new. You face something and then you try to adapt it. For example, you have technology, okay, or you have now we staying in the pandemic. What adaptation you do there?
Staying at home and get
Yeah, it's
vaccinated.
one way, isn't it?
Yeah.
One way. And then maybe for the businessman, businesswoman, they're selling something, okay, face to face, okay, but they can do social adaptation by doing online selling, isn't it? That's one adaptation to the pandemic, COVID. Or they can, for example, you are now, you learning by online, okay? So your social adaptation is changed from face-to-face learning to online learning. That one is called adaptation. So in my research in climate change, because the climate change, we can try to mitigate it, but if cannot mitigate, you can adapt it. So by changing your practices, you can adapt the climate change effect. Okay, you facing with the high temperature. So what to do? You need to adapt it. Adapt is something that adapt to your current situation. That's my concerns about my research. There are many things in research. For example, maybe the climatology student or researcher, they can do about the mitigation of climate change. But for me, social scientist, I can do research on social adaptation. How the farmers adapt with the climate change effect. Okay, now the rainy season. So what to do? Okay, maybe they can change, they can protect, they can do something that can less the effect of the climate change. That is called adaptation. Hopefully something can be understand through my research.
It's
Yeah.
interesting topics indeed, with adaptations and very relevant in today's climate crisis and climate change.
Yeah, yeah.
And how would you see the current adaptations in agricultural sector, especially in the global level? And will we able to meet the climate crisis target with regards to that?
Yeah, there are two things, mitigate and adapt. Okay, we know that we are less rain, less water, deforestation. So we want to stay without do anything? Cannot, isn't it? So we cannot change next year to increase the temperature of the world. Cannot. That one is God work. nature work. What we can do is adapt. So if you're doing something, you can actually go with the climate change. If you not do nothing, you will lose something. Okay, you know now is not good for your to growing one crop. Maybe you can change the crop, other crop to grow. So adapt it, try to change it, suit with your condition, will suit with the climate, suit with the weather, suit with the need. That's one is adaptation. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's one strong and powerful message for all of us. Students, I encourage you to convey the questions directly. Please use the raise hand feature or chat box.
Yeah.
To
Are you
optimize our
sleeping
meeting.
now? I'm not sure. You are behind your name. If my student, I ask all the student must open the camera so that I make sure they are not sleeping. I can see Anissa. Anissa, you are from Indonesia?
Yes, madam.
You can share something. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you have your opinion. Maybe you have problems about the understanding. You can ask. Don't worry.
I think it's clear enough, ma'am.
Yeah. There are Japanese students here. 日本人の学生さんいらっしゃいますか here? 誰か I can speak Japanese. I spending 11 years in Japan, but now I spending my time almost for Korea. So sometimes I can speak little bit word of Korean. You have Japanese students here? 日本人いらっしゃいますか? Tak ada ni dekat sini. 61 of student, there are no student.
I was wondering what are the difference between practicing agriculture in Malaysia and Japan, because you've lived there for a very long time.
Yeah, Japan, you know, the industrial country, but they are very give attention to agriculture. They very care about their food security level. They very care about their export of agriculture, their import. They're very particular in their quality of the food. Their consumer is very good. They're very concerned about the healthy. So not all the products from Thailand, from Malaysia can enter the Japan without the good the good quality. That means they not use over pesticide, not chemical pesticide. So they manage it. But the problem of Japan, like Malaysia, they have aging population. You know, aging population, they are all farmers. But sometimes these issues can cover by the technology. Okay, Korea and Japan, they use technology in their agriculture. They have a smart farming, so they're practicing it because you use the technology, you can solve the solution of the labor. Okay, the solution of the aging population. So technology can help solve the problem. So my experience staying there, learning about the agriculture, they have very good in data provision. Okay, they're very good. For example, they will expose about the taste of the rice in this season or the year. The taste of the rice, you know, in Malaysia, they not announce it. What happened to the taste of the rice for this year? Whether sweet, whether not sweet, whether good or not good. But Japan will announce the what's their sweetness of something relate to the rice. The sweetness of this year's rice is how many red and red. They're very good. And then the data of farmers, the data about the statistics of agriculture is very good. They manage very well. They manage using the technology. But always the consumer always concerned about the food. Okay, not everything. They're not greedy to have a profit, but they think about the community, about the consumer. The consumer have a powerful voice, you know. They're very strong. They're very determined. So the concern is very good, Japanese. Okay. So
I see.
they rotate their, because you know the land of the Japan is very long. For example, they have south, they have north. So every place will growing the paddy, rice. So for this season, the rice come from south, and then another time is come from north or west. So all the year they can produce the rice. So they can export it to US, but in Malaysia, tropical country, very precious land, very good soil fertility to growing the paddy, still not enough. We need to export from the Thailand, import from the India. What happened? Okay. So we can learn something from Japan for other country, from US for better benefit for us. This is my experience.
Well,
Mm.
that's really a very good reminder for all of us who stays in a tropical country that have a rich
Yeah.
ecosystem. Also, you briefly mentioned in your presentations that smart farming would also be able to reduce the impact to the environment. And with regards to the carbon footprints, do you have any specific examples of the smart farming so that we could better understand how it's related with the carbon footprint? Thank you.
Okay, now we are under industrial regulation, IR, IR 4, IR 5. For the country that developed like Germany, they're already in IR 5, industrial regulation number 5. However, Malaysia, Indonesia maybe only IR 4. So they implement that regulation also in agriculture. So under the industrial regulation, they have a smart farming. What is the smart farming? That means they use IoT, they use big data, they use remote sensing, precision agriculture, the technology of ICT to be applied in agriculture. So one of the example in Malaysia, we start now using it that maybe can decrease the gas emission and then can help labor saving, energy saving is drone application. You know, drone before that we only use in war peperangan, war WAR we use in army. So but now drone was used to make sure agriculture can be do well. So the drone can be used to fertilize the paddy, fertilize the crop. Okay, so our farmers now in major granary areas, they're starting to use it. Not every one of the farmers can buy the drone, can operate the drones. However, we have the company, we have cooperative, we have individual farmers that able to buy the drone and then they give a service out. So every operation in fertilization, I mean spraying the fertilizer, spraying pesticide, by drone, so that can avoid the pest and diseases attack, can give the precise place to spraying the fertilizer, can save the energy, and then can attract the use. Understand use like you. Okay, the use we can do 20 to 40 that we can call use. So by making agriculture using apply the technology can attract the youth to participate in agriculture. So many of the operator of the drones are used. So by that, we implement smart farming. The smart farming is not open field also, but closed field. Mitigation system, sensoring, everything relating regarding the technology introduced for agriculture, we can call it smart farming. So many things we can, but make sure the internet connection, the facility infrastructure is good so that you can implement smart farming. It's not, no meaning. Okay, you can use also Gemma at the Philippines. Make sure the thing is very good connection. You want to use the application through mobile, okay? However, the connection of the internet is not good, so no meaning. Okay, yeah, you make sure the everything is good, then you can implement smart farming.
Yeah, so not only about the concept, but also implementation and infrastructure.
Yeah,
most
right.
importantly. So I would like to open one questions if there's any questions from our student before we end our sessions today.
Sure, the last question.
Yeah, so we have the last question here from Anissa. What is your opinion about vertical farming in Japan? Could it be reduce the carbon footprint from agriculture?
Okay, vertical farming is one of the practices that that save the place. Okay, vertical, not the horizontal. Okay, so vertical farming using in plant factory. You know, I'm studying at Japan start 1990. Maybe you are not born yet. 1990, tahun 1990, the year. So because my major is agriculture engineering, so I developed the sunlight collector for plant factory under what's underground. We try to utilize the underground space. So I try to learn and study about the how to collect the sunlight to the plant factory. Is practicing many years ago in Japan. However, in Malaysia now they are very hot practices. They are starting to use urban farming, vertical farming. So by that, not the vertical farming, the thing is the structure. However, the practice maybe they use the hydroponic, they use the aeroponic, they use the aquaponic, so that the practices maybe can mitigate or they can contribute to the less of the gas emission. So Japan is advanced. Korean too, other country too, that the developed country, they are already how many years ago? 90. Now it's 2021. How many years ago? 30 years ago, isn't it? I am at first year, third year. At that time, I'm 20 years old, 24 years old at 1994. I already learned about that one. 30 years ago, you have it now in your country. How many, the development advance of the technology in the Japan, in other country, compared to other country, developing country like Malaysia. Okay. Anissa, okay kah? Tidak?
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that's the last questions and also the end of our session. Thank you so much for Associate Professor Dr. Norsida for sharing your works, research, and also most importantly, your knowledge on agricultural farming with us. It is a very wonderful opportunity to meet you. And now I invite all the students to take pictures together with Professor Dr. Norsida. Maybe we can take pictures together and then end our sessions today. Please kindly open your camera if you want to.
Yeah, please, I can see your face. You can be my friend in IG. I'm very active in IG. So you can search my name, Norsida, Dr. Norsida or Dr. Norupi 45, so that we can be a friend in IG or Facebook. But I'm active in IG so that I can know you, you can know me. Uh, I can invite you, I can approve you. So if you want to be my friends, okay, no problem. Please follow me. I will follow you in IG. Norupi 45, Dr. Norupi 45. That's
That's
the platform
great to
that
know.
I connect with the international student and my student. That's the platform, the current platform. I'm very enjoy with my student, not only Malaysian student, but Indonesian student, and Japanese student, Brazil student, many countries. So I connect with them, connect world and world. So maybe you can take opportunity. I can take this opportunity to know you better. Okay,
It's
we have
wonderful.
54%. So this only the person that managed to have. Okay.
And indeed, technology connects us all.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
example, you
sure.
know, in Malaysia, and now people and students from all over the world can join your lecture.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now I will capture this in 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your participations. Don't forget to fill up the link. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Norsida.
Yeah, thank you very
University of
much
Malaysia.
for inviting me to your summer school every year so that I can meet the new student. I can discuss, I can deliver my knowledge. However, my knowledge is still limited. I still need to learn. So if I do something that you maybe not satisfied you, I'm apologizing. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm very glad to see you in this platform. Thank you very
Thank you
much,
very
dear.
much.
Yeah, thank you to
Goodbye.
APB.
Goodbye. Thank
Bye
you very
bye.
much,
See you again.
Professor. Bye
Yeah, bye
bye.
bye. Thank you. Thank you too. Oh, Hanifa is a network trouble. No problem. Thank you very much. Welcome. I can leave it, yeah?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I'll handle it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I will resend the link to all of you here. This is the participant attendance list. Please make sure that you fill up this form in order to record your attendance.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yorobu minasan, gambatte. I leave now. Bye bye. See you.
Bye. See you. Thank you so much.